Yo, 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 welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. I'm your boy Tactix.
Yo, it's just Darcy here.
And this is Big Geek Umar. How are y'all doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good. I realize I'm way off camera
I
here.
was going to we can't really see you.
How you guys doing?
Good, man,
I am
good.
mostly recovered from my non-COVID, just old school, bad, like daycare infested cold flu thing I had going on last week. So hopefully you guys can hear me better, and hopefully I'll be using the tissue and coughing significantly less this time.
What a world we live in where we have to say non-COVID cold.
You know the funny thing I've learned that like when people because like everyone was like, oh man, did you get COVID? I'm like, nah. It's like, oh shit, did you get the flu? I'm like, nah. It's like, what'd you get? It's like, oh, I just got I got a cold. I'm like, oh.
Stop being a little bitch then.
Yes.
Literally went through my head before you said it.
Everyone's just like, oh, okay. I was like, it still sucks, right?
It's like, that shit's not impressive, man. You gotta step it up. That's not it, you know? Like, you gotta bring SARS back or something.
Yeah. Where's your Zika virus, man? Come on, let's step up a little bit.
Umar, West Nile, let's get on it, man. Oh man.
So yes, I'm thankfully fully recovered. I hope both of you are good, and also all our viewers. Please be careful during this holiday season. Influenza is go running high.
True that. Been there.
So yeah, T, how about yourself? You good?
I'm straight, man. I have not gotten sick in a while. Yeah, that's it, man. I got my hernia surgery in 2 weeks, so hopefully I don't catch nothing there. Although they're pretty, they're cracking down on the COVID restrictions, so I should be good.
Oh yeah, I would imagine like the hospital would be relatively a safer place. Well, no,
yeah.
It's hit or miss depending what part of the hospital you're in.
Facts. Okay, so I will start going into it. However, I'm going to try something new today. So audience members and people who are watching right now, we are going to be going through our usual agenda, which having to do with in memory of the Green Ranger, Jason David Frank, that passed away. We'll be discussing Disney's shakeup in their CEOs. We'll be discussing the fact that the new Blade movie also got a new director and writer. Chris Hemsworth also has made some headlines lately about his possible future in Thor movies. And then we're going to be discussing the recent Hollywood Reporter ranking of all Marvel films, as well as that one it's going to get heated for me. And
me too.
And then
trigger warning.
Trigger warning. And then finally, we will be discussing a study that was released recently on DC fans and Marvel fans, which is definitely a very interesting topic. So for all of you who are not watching us live, please do check out the description below where you will see timestamps. So if any of those topics interest you more than the others, just click on that and you'll go right to it. So starting off with our first one, we unfortunately, and it's sad to say, have another death of a childhood character actor who has consistently played actually, there are a lot of similarities between Kevin Conroy and Jason David Frank, where that they both played the same character almost like universally for 30 years. The Green Ranger passed away, unfortunately, due to suicide, based off of all reports. It's tough to hear that he was going through such a hard time, and it's tough for his family. It's just really sad to see one of your childhood heroes kind of like passing away, especially significantly before his time. So I haven't watched Power Rangers in quite some time, but at the same time, I definitely watched a shit ton of it. Like I started watching the original Power Rangers when they came out on Netflix, and I immediately stopped because I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna let this ruin my memories of everything. So I was like, can't watch it now, and so, but nonetheless, yeah, Jason David Frank was a very accomplished martial artist who I think he even partook and won in MMA fights. And from what I've seen, he has always been very, very committed to the role, very committed to his fan base. All fans have been very happy whenever they met up with him. So yeah, some sad news. But I want to pass it over to you guys. Darcy, let's start with you. Did you have any thoughts you wanted to share regarding the passing of Jason David Frank?
I mean, it's sad that he was going through it. I've seen some different things, and I don't really want to shed all the light on everything that I've seen, but um, you know, uh, it's just unfortunate that he felt like he was in a place that he wanted to take his life in the process. And if anything, it's a reminder to everyone to reach out to your strong friends. It's um, you know, men and mental health is definitely a thing that is becoming more of a conversation,
Yeah,
and this is a reminder of that. Regardless of how far and accomplished one can be, people can be in hard places, and so
yeah,
it's just unfortunate and sad that it went down like that. I know he was beloved by his fans. He was very, very appreciative of his fans,
yeah.
and yeah, it's just sad things all around for that.
T.
Well, first, shout out to the Green Ranger, man. Had to drop that for the old school classic Green Ranger flute that we all know and love. Yeah, man, this is sad news, to be honest. Very unexpected, and I share both your sentiments in how I feel about this because I grew up on the original OGs over here, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and yeah, it's sad to hear that you know basically it's sad to hear any passing of a person, but especially when the cause is the taking of their own life. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's really unfortunate, and like you were saying, Umar, it's and Darcy, you never really know what a person's struggling with and the demons that they're having to battle every day. And so yeah, it's really, really unfortunate to hear. And I know he was. I was kind of reading a little bit more into it, and I saw a couple of videos from some of the former Power Rangers, kind of sharing their thoughts and their opinions. One in particular being the Red Ranger, because um, in the past, and I didn't even know this at the time, but apparently there had been some tension or a feud between
I
the
didn't know
Red
that.
Ranger and the Green Ranger. Yeah, I didn't know that until the Red Ranger. I forget his real name, but he came out and he had some brief but nice words to say about the passing of Jason. So um, yeah, it sucks, man, because in my deep dive, I also discovered that he was working on a movie. I think he finished shooting the movie, so it's going to be released sometime in the early next year. And it's along the same vein as the Power Rangers. It looks very similar, except it's his own standalone thing, and not
Right.
at all related to the Power Rangers. But it's just unfortunate that he's not even going to be able to watch his work come to fruition, right? So
Yeah,
it sucks, but his legacy will live on, and once a Power Ranger, always a Power Ranger, as the Red Ranger said to him at some point. So yeah,
it's sad to say that
rest in
like
peace. And
two of six of them have passed away now.
yeah, the Trini, the Yellow
Yeah,
Ranger as well, in a car accident a while back, I believe.
yeah,
um so yeah, man, it's unfortunate, especially considering that they were both so young. So
yeah.
yeah, it sucks, but yeah, I mean, I know there have been like many iterations of the Power Rangers. I mean, like I don't even I want to say they're still going on, but I'm not 100% sure. But I know that
I
there have
think
been
so
a
too.
bunch of them. But Tommy, like he was like almost every color. He was like the Green Ranger, he was the White Ranger, he was the Red Ranger at some point. They made him a Black Ranger. So like Darcy was saying, like he's been in the game, riding with the Power Rangers franchise for a minute. So I know his fans are really feeling the blow of all of this, because he was very committed to the craft. He was committed to the role of a ranger, and the franchise, and whatnot. Very loyal to his fans and very very loving. So yeah, it's sad to hear this news. And like Darcy was saying, like um, it's just a reminder to like reach out to your close ones, your loved ones, and check in on your homies, man, because you never know what they're going through. Like, people often suffer in silence, and sometimes that silence can be deadly to the point where you end up taking your own life at times, right? So yeah, uh check in on your homies, check in on your family, every once in a while, and make sure that your fam and your peoples are good.
Yeah, well said, bro. Well, rest in peace, Jason David Frank, and moving on. So the next topic is for the recent firing. So Disney has fired their CEO, Bob Chapek, and have brought in like basically the guy who ran Disney for like 15 previous years. Like Bob Chapek has been in the job for like 2-3 years, and Bob Iger has like run things for like the previous 15, and he was the one who like got Lucasfilms, got Marvel, got like all that stuff taken care of. So like he's kind of like no wonder they went back to him. They're like, yo man, please get us out of this. So just for people who aren't aware, Disney has been having a little bit of a problem under Chapek's rule. He's definitely behind a lot of. Well, he definitely is in charge. The reason why we gotta like pay extra for Disney Plus recently. He's also been kind of low key hiding the fact that Disney Plus isn't doing as well as he's been like as they're trying to like announce. Also, what I know him for is that he was the guy who very, very, very reluctantly and also took his sweet ass time doing it. When like Florida's DeSantis was like making some serious bad and offensive and dangerous statements about the LGBTQ community, Chapek was just like, and like literally his employees were like, we're gonna walk off if you don't say shit. So like he reluctantly was like, yeah, we not cool. And then also on top of which, I think he had another issue. Didn't he? I feel he like said shit about his like special effects team, where he was like, yeah, they could do better, and they're like, are you for real right now? So yeah, in 3 years, he's definitely garnered a lot of bad tabloids. Like Eager never even got to that point. So yeah, he got booted, and Eager's come back. Who knows for how long? But something that Darcy actually sent me was that with Eager returning, there are now rumors swirling that Disney might sell to Apple. So I don't know too much beyond that. So Darcy, I'm gonna pass it to you, man. Like, what do you know that we don't?
Well, I mean, I don't know a ton more detail, other than there is the rumor that his legacy might be that he might sell to Apple, which is an interesting proposition, because one, for the TV portion of Disney, that would make sense for Apple if they wanted to buy it. They're in the game of original
Yeah.
content, which is generally licensed. Like our Apple TV's number one show. Oh my gosh, why can't I think of the name of it right now?
Ted Lasso?
Ted Lasso, yeah, is technically it's a WB property, right? And so yeah, it's produced through WB and like
Oh.
licensed to Apple like exclusively, and which is why the third season's having troubles because WB's had problems with them. But anyways, with the writers, not with Apple, and so it would make sense from Apple's perspective that they would just bring in that entertainment and get it exclusive, and they don't really need to even worry about running a movie division, because if you look at the finances, I was trying to think at first when I heard about this, I'm like, is Apple have the ability to buy out Disney? And yes, Apple is 14 times more wealthy than Disney.
Are you for real?
Yeah. Disney was I think it was something like 1.75 billion, and Apple's worth like, or no, 175 billion. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 175 billion dollars. I'm pretty sure what Disney was worth. I look it up again, and Apple's worth like 1.75 trillion or something crazy like that. Like,
Holy shit.
yeah. So
This whole
Apple,
time I thought Disney was the king.
well, Disney is a king, but Apple's a giant Goliath of a company. To put it in perspective, Disney could, or say Apple could just literally buy this thing, not run it, just like have it run itself, and call it a tax problem. Like they have so much more money. Like at one point during, this is gonna sound weird, but Donald Trump's reign, when he was talking about shifting some stuff that was corporate tax benefits, they're like, they were shifting something, and they're like, hey, we could bring back money into the United States that is offshore right now. And it was something like they were talking about bringing, like, yeah, we could bring like an easy like $46 billion back because of the tax write-off. And we're like, what? Like, that's just money sitting around. Like, damn, like that's how they are. But the other thing that's weird though about this is that like Disney has a lot of things that don't make any sense for Apple. Like Disney parks fundamentally makes no sense, right? And all of like the stores and all of like the actual, like, what am I trying to say, toys and stuff like that,
Merchandise.
Yeah, it's not really like Apple, Apple business. So there's a lot of Disney business that doesn't really line up. And just buying them, if they're buying them entirely, or are they just buying the like TV division of things, I don't know. So it's an interesting idea, but it doesn't quite fully make sense to me, other than the TV part of it. I don't know, but what do you guys think?
T?
Yeah, I don't have much to say about this because I haven't been following this news story all that well. But from what I did read, apparently Bob Chapek, he made a comment not too long ago stating that he doesn't think that adults like animation movies, and that's part of the reason why, if you've noticed, that a lot of new upcoming animated movies that are being produced by Disney haven't been getting a lot of marketing play. Like I forget the name of the movie, but there's a new Disney animated movie coming out, and I didn't even know about it. Yeah, and apparently it's because of this guy, because he has a thing against Disney
Strange
animated movie. Yeah, that's it. But that's like
I
saying,
barely knew about that movie. It's
yeah,
out?
but that's like becoming the CEO of McDonald's and saying, I don't think people like burgers, so yeah, we're not gonna put this on the menu. Like, what the
People don't
he
like
clearly doesn't
fries.
know.
Let's
Yeah,
take that
it's
shit
like,
off.
yeah, let's stick to the salads, guys. But it's like, but I'm like, yo, clearly you don't know what company you're working for. Disney was predicated on animated movies, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken.
10,000%. Well, I mean, like,
Yeah.
hand-drawn animated, but yes.
Right. So
but like, also,
yeah, I
like
don't.
Pixar is like everyone watches Pixar. Kids and
Exactly.
adults, and like both of them cry for different reasons, but like they both
Yeah.
cry, and those like what is he talking about?
I have no idea, man. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's just like, and a lot of people in general are tired of the live action remake, right? And like, yeah, we get a couple wins, far and few between.
Yeah,
Is he the one who pushed live action remakes? Because like that would explain.
They're
a whole
all
lot.
trash. I'm sorry.
Exactly. That would explain that.
Aside from maybe the Jungle Book, I don't know of any live action Disney movie that I've enjoyed.
Beauty and the Beast.
That's on par with like the original. Not even Beauty and the Beast. I prefer the animated.
I didn't even watch it. I don't think I've watched any of them, because I literally, it just like, it fundamentally doesn't make sense, because you can take portions and scenes that you can adapt well, but the overall story and the charm, especially from these really old hand-drawn ones, it's like you can't even adapt those into 3D animation and it sit right. It's its own medium. It's the anime problem, right? It's like, yeah, let's adapt an anime into a different form. It's like, no, the style of which these things are drawn, and when you understand like how they do the rules of like trying to make things look real, but then they also bend the rules and make characters do things that are unreal. That's part of its charm. You can't bring that into 3D space and make it work because it just doesn't work. So it's so stupid. I'm triggered. I don't know why.
You gotta put up Courtney's her sarcastic remark about like, oh, how you doing, Nagar? Courtney was like, "Hello,
hold
I'm Ms.
on.
Adult Woman." Oh,
hold on. Hey, Nagar, this is me not doing anything. Look, no Hans. Read the comment, Umar. This is me not doing anything.
No wonder so Courtney says, no wonder I never want to be an adult if they're not allowed like fun things like animated movies, LOL. And then she follows up by saying, basically like making fun of Bob Chapek's line of thinking. Hello, I am Ms. Adult Woman. I only enjoy films about taxes. Mortgages are my favorite hobby. That would be the most fucked up film I have ever seen. If it's just like, yo, taxes, man.
Yeah,
taxes.
I agree.
You know what though? You say that, and then there's gonna be a movie from Pixar that like somehow like it's not about taxes, but it's about adult life, and and you're like, and the kids can be like, "Mommy, is that what it like?"
Yo, if Pixar does a film about like mortgages and taxes and makes like triggers an entire auditorium of adults while kids are just like eating their popcorn, that's going.
Yo, but low key they should do that though, because more people
100%.
need to learn about taxes and mortgages. So I mean.
Yeah, like a Pixar short, like teaching adults how to take care of their money.
Yeah,
and like instill it into children at an early age.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we do like it's. No, I'm gonna go down a path about my problems with the education system. So let's just not do
it. I'm right there with you, bud. I'm right there with you.
So okay, Courtney, nonetheless, you should definitely like send an email to Eager and try to get that Pixar movie made. But like, yeah, so nonetheless, this like Eager taking over sounds like a good thing. The Apple thing is definitely an interesting. I cannot believe Apple is that much more like. Darcy, you blow my brain a little bit right now, but like, yeah, okay. So we'll see how this develops. Definitely something for future podcasts. I don't know how I feel if Apple buys up Disney Plus.
So
excited! Oh.
On that note, moving on. So there has been some. So we kind of reported in previous podcasts that the Blade movie with Marsha Ali being the title character, taking over for Wesley Snipes. The movie kind of had an abrupt stop. And the director and like writer all kind of like we good, we gonna be leaving, and everyone's like, wait, what's happening right now? So as a result, we've gotten some new news this past week that what's his name? A director, Jan. I'm gonna hope I say his name right. Jan Demange is now the new director for the new Blade movie starring Marsha Ali, and he is known for directing Lovecraft Country. Now, for those of you who don't know, I haven't watched the show because I'm scared, because horror and I'm scared. However, I watched the first episode, and yes, it was still scary, but like the monsters were actually the things that made me feel safe, because like the real life white people were the ones that were scary. Nonetheless, good director based off the first episode that I watched. So I in no way am personally I'm giving my 2 cents. I'm in no way worried about him taking over. But also they got actually, like, before we go to the writer, I want to ask you guys, like, what do you think of this new director? T, let's start with you.
Yeah, so I only watched the first episode of Lovecraft Country as well, and I didn't know what to expect up until the midway point, and then that's when like all the freaky shit started happening, and I was like, "Whoa, this is not the show I was anticipating at all." Because the trailers leave nothing to the imagination, so I was like, "Okay," but to be honest, I wasn't super excited about them doing another Blade movie. It's cool that he's going to be part of the MCU, but I
Hmm.
was kind of more so of the mind of like, uh, let me wait until I see a trailer. But then again, you know how I am about trailers nowadays, so
Yeah,
that's not really saying much. But um, the fact that this guy is attached to direct and write the movie based off of what I did see from that first episode of Lovecraft Country, it does have me a little bit more interested because I feel like that would be a great tone for a Blade movie because I'm still comparing it to that of the original Blade movies, especially the second one. The second one got a little bit more gritty and a little more horror esque, if you will. So I really enjoyed the second one, despite what some people might have thought.
hmm,
So if they approach this new franchise on the same vein as that, and they can up the level in terms of like the horror aspect and whatnot, then I think it could be really cool for Blade. So yeah, I'm interested to see what direction they take it and how it's going to look and how well they do the original series justice if they can do that.
Darcy.
So I was just looking up because I didn't recognize this guy's name, but I've seen all of Lovecraft Country, and I was trying to figure out what he directed in it, and he directed the first episode. So you guys have seen all of his work from the show.
Oh,
Ironically, it's like you are 100% qualified at this point, which is irony of all this. But I mean, overall, I love Lovecraft Country. I don't feel like because I've seen the whole show, it gives me any more like depth into his abilities than you guys. I know he also directed a little bit of Top Boy, but but I don't know what parts of it. I haven't looked through it, and I haven't really watched enough of Top Boy to know. Top Boy is like the UK kind of version of oh my gosh, what is the show I'm trying to think of? Famous HBO show that got Idris Elba's start off.
Oh, Luther?
No, not Luther. It's an American
oh, The
show.
Wire.
The Wire. Yeah, it's kind of like
Wire, right.
it's kind of like a UK version of The Wire in tone and stuff like that. More modernized and stuff like that. But the one thing I do like about this whole thing, which is not really about the director, I just like that it sucks that yeah, they had to like change directions. But I also like the fact that if things weren't going in the right direction, they didn't push forward,
Exactly.
right? And it feels like to me, but I mean, I'm just guessing here, but Mahershala Ali, who went out and said, I want this role, I want this job, I want to play this character, I know what I want to do. And he probably saw stuff come across the table. And he's like, this ain't it. Get it fixed. They bring it back, and he's like, you're gonna get fired. Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like it went down nicer than that, different than that, but essentially summarized. And if this is who he's vibing with, then I think it's probably a good thing, you know. And that first episode hooked me enough to watch the whole show. So I'm just saying.
To
Well,
that point, Darcy, I kind of agree with you because, and this is a terrible example considering the guy that I'm about to reference, but Ezra Miller had originally, I prefaced it, but
Wow.
obviously, you guys know, like there was a lot of pushback on the Flash movie because he wanted to make the Flash movie like a specific way, and despite separate the art from the artist,
yeah,
but despite all of that shit, apparently, rumor has it that the Flash movie is actually really, really good. Now, granted,
Supposedly.
majority of that could be because of Michael Keaton and have little to do with Ezra Miller in the Flash and whatnot. But the fact of the matter that it went through so many rewrites and it went through so many different directors, like that's saying something. So the fact that Mahershala Ali is doing the same thing, one shows that the actors have a little bit more control, supposedly, and two, they're passionate about the project to the point where they're willing to halt the production until they can get it right. Because again, you have big shoes to fill if you're playing a character like Blade coming off of
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes. You know what I mean? Even if Blade Trinity was a hot mess, it it, it doesn't excuse the fact that Wesley Snipes bodied that role.
Yeah.
So he's got they got some big shoes to fill. It's a tall order for sure.
So just following up, like with this director from Lovecraft Country taking over, Jan Demage, we also get Stacy. I'm going to butcher this last name too, Osei-Kuffour, who also is.
That was, I don't know what that was, but sorry, I couldn't help it. That was, you said you're gonna butcher it. That just said that was butchered. I'm sorry. I'm just go on.
Do
My
better,
bad.
man. Do better.
My bad.
So anyway, she's penning it along with another guy named Michael Starbury, but like she is known for writing Watchmen,
Oh, like the movie?
like the series.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah. So like the director of the first episode of Lovecraft Country with the person who wrote the TV series for Watchmen, who also I think let me just double check. Yeah, so she also wrote an episode of The Morning Show. For people who have seen The Morning Show, that shit is good. So like Marshall Ali got some people, and also like going back to what you both were saying, we and like the Tactix, this is more kind of like something that you've been frustrated with MCU of late, is that they're just throwing out content without any direction, and people were starting to feel this too, and now because of Marshall Ali stopping shit, like if it was him who stopped stuff, with all of this thing going on with Blade, them getting a new director that obviously seems qualified, them getting a writer who definitely can write some shit. It also got the MCU to slow down. Like all the projects have started being like delayed now, which is something like even I'm like, that's a good thing. Like if Kevin Feige is like half-assing it just to get content out, let's just slow things down. Also with Eager now in charge, maybe that would be better. But like this, in my opinion, is all good news in terms of like what's going on behind the camera for the Blade movie. So that's just my 2 cents. What do you guys think?
Agreed.
T?
No, I 100% agree with you, and I think it should be at this point. And if you had asked me like 10, maybe 15 years ago, I would have said I want more quantity. Like just give me like a shitload of superhero movies. I don't care if they're trash, just give it to me right now. But now at the point, because we've gotten so much trash shit, I'm like, nah, yo, like take the time that you need to give me some high quality shit. Like you can't give me like you can't give me Endgame level with like the Avengers and then Spider-Man and then give me Morbius. Like that's just
You're a guy
not
who lived in the desert, and like you're like just give me like any water. Got brought to the city, was taken out to
yeah.
like a 5-star hotel, like a steak and like all the wine you could drink, and now you're sitting in your
Bro, I want
penthouse.
that
You're like,
Fiji water, yo. That's what I want, man. Not this Dasani shit.
where's my avion?
Yeah, man. So yeah, man. I'm all about quality now. So I mean, if they space their films out and they take their time to really flesh out the story, um, get the right actors in the role, get the right direction, get the right writers to take on the helm of
100%.
creating a
100%.
narrative, then I'm totally fine with that. Because if we only get maybe like 3 superhero films a year, I'm cool with that too. Because I'll admit, and I think we are going to touch up on this at the end of the hour, but there is a little bit of superhero fatigue. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
I
yeah,
enjoy kind of
100%.
like, you know, I want to see some other films. I think that's why I'm like so into like horror movies now, man. Because I've been so bombarded with like superhero. Like, because I'm not a horror movie buff or anything, but I've just been watching a shit ton of like horror and thriller now with my girl lately because like, you know, there's just too much superhero shit. Like everywhere you go, it's just superhero shit, and I'm like, I need something else. You know, steak is good, but you can't have steak every single day. You gotta switch that shit up, have some chicken, maybe some pizza or something, you know? Like, so that's kind of how I'm feeling right now.
Darcy.
So while you were talking, and again, Umar, my apologies for your pronunciation of Stacy. I think it's Osei-Kuffour. I'm gonna mess up the other. I'm messing up the last part, but the first part's Osei. I only know that because I have a friend, and that's his last name, so I know how you say that one. But I was looking up Shrine Blade on IMDb because I wanted to. I was really just want to see how they pronounce that name, but then I came across a couple of things while you guys were talking that's really, really getting me going about this film. Okay. First off, top cast are 3 people right now. So Mahershala Ali, no surprise there. And then
Lindo, I think.
Damn it! Why you gotta jump ahead, motherfucker?
Because I brought it up in the previous podcast.
I don't care. I don't remember you saying that. So, anyways, okay. I was like literally leading to it, and then you just like said it for me. Okay,
This man just stole your thunder.
My bad, man. My bad.
Well, that was one part. I was looking at him, and I'm like, he's phenomenal. Okay,
yes.
And he has a history of doing, I want to say, roles that matter. That he tends to put himself where it's like stuff that's historically socially conscious, or a very difficult person who gives a very difficult perspective opposite of whatever the scene or the character requires. And I mean that in both positive and negatives, right? Like he's either positive or negative perspective on something, but he's a strong delivery. So then I'm looking up Stacy's history, and like you said, Watchmen, The Morning Show, a show called Pen 15, which is literally written to look like penis, and Blade. Yeah, but I get a thread from here, but especially between Watchmen and the Pen 15 one, where it seems like she writes something where she has something to say, right? Like something based in some form of reality. Like The Watchmen was a superhero show, but really spent most of its time just talking about racism, right? I'm by the look of this Pen 15 and the title card, I think it's something to do with like women's perspective on stuff, right? Then I go and take a look at as you said, Michael what's his name?
Or something like
Scarborough.
that.
Wow, I just like lost my link to it. But I was looking up what he was known for, and he's also done some things that are more impactful and actually on like the woke message, I'm going to say, for instance, right? So
they're both black writers,
yeah. So When They See Us, and he also did the Colin Kaepernick documentary, some form of writing involved in there. And so I'm seeing a very strong thread in this film that is, it's going to be more than just like I want to say this movie's gonna be all woke and all that stuff, but I just feel like it's more. I feel like there's gonna be character development, and they're really gonna focus on having something to say that's beyond just I have a blade and I cut vampires down, right?
But like even like Watchmen, like they had some fight sequences and that were like hella dope. So, but at the same time, they were able to like weave in like statements and also like character development and also like thematics and all that sort of stuff. So like, and also the fact that Marshall Ali was like, I want more fights. I mean, the fact that an actor has to say that about it in a movie, it's kind of like, really, like you're saying that about Blade? It's like saying like I want to watch Kevin Hart's like, I think we should put more laughs in my movie. It's kind of like, obviously. Anyway, so I'm really happy with this new direction for Blade, which makes me extremely excited for it now. So moving on to our next topic. So this has been making quite a few headlines, mostly not because. So Chris Hemsworth has been making headlines because he has come out with a new docuseries on Disney Plus called Limitless. Not to be confused with the TV series and movie that has to do with like taking a pill and like getting 100% activation of your brain. This is him
Sick
pushing his
movie.
limits. Sorry,
Dope movie. I love that movie.
Love it.
you should watch the TV series on Netflix. It was actually really good, even though it got canceled. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
so his show is about him pushing his own limits. And during filming, they were doing a whole bunch of tests and all that sort of stuff, and it was discovered that he has a very specific, very unique combination of chromosomes that make up that he has a very high chance of getting Alzheimer's, which has now resulted in him saying that he's going to take some time off acting. He's not quitting or anything like that. He's just taking some time. Oh, well, fair enough. But also, what happened very quickly afterwards is he started making headlines about, I wouldn't say throwing shade, but definitely throwing some shots a little bit on the directing of the last Thor movie, which, Tactix must feel incredibly validated for.
Yo, if the main
He,
actor of the movie doesn't even like his own shit, then you know it's bad. Just saying.
so he made a statement
I feel like that may be true for more than one of his movies, though. To
Yeah.
be honest,
Yeah.
Like-
Chris Hemsworth made a statement about how he doesn't want to work with mad geniuses again.
that's shade.
Yeah,
it is
100%. Yo.
Like,
Shots fired.
if it's not shade, it's a canopy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and Tilla definitely called me out on that. So like, yeah, it's definitely shade. It makes me sad because I thought that like the two of them had a good relationship, but like anyway, so he then went clarified further, saying that he is comparing how he felt with because he's in the Mad Max Furiosa prequel working with Mark Miller. And he's like, I like a genius, not a mad genius sort of thing. And then he further clarified, saying that if he was going to return to the Thor franchise, it would only be for one last movie, but also it would have to be drastically different in vision and in tone for like anything he's done before. And he was even comparing his work in Endgame and Infinity War for like what he wants to see more of, which is ironic because that is what I would say I loved him the most. Like I personally love the first Thor movie, but I know that I'm a Thor comic book purist, so I'm like a right-wing individual on this point. No one's going to agree with me, so I'm like I'll just shut up and just accept the fact that I'm the only one who wanted that. But in Infinity War and Endgame, I can't think of anyone who was like, "Yo, I didn't like Thor in that movie." Thor killed it in that movie. Like his entire story arc from the first movie to the second movie was fucking gold. Put a fat suit on him, he still had comedic genius, but at the same time, he had some soulful moments in that shit, and like he transitioned hard. So that's him under the guise of, as we all three of us love the Russo brothers. They gave Tactix his steak after he lived in the desert. So clearly we love the Russo brothers, and clearly they know how to do their characters right. But he is saying if he's ever going to come back, he needs some like massive changes. I don't disagree, but I want to hear what my bro. Well, I don't think I need to ask you at this point. But like, I'm like just because like I don't want to silence you, but like I think we all know what you're gonna say. So like, T, how about you take this before Darcy like gives us like an opinion we haven't know coming.
It's no surprise how I felt about Thor: Love and Thunder, so I'm not going to reiterate by saying that it was the fucking worst movie I've ever seen in the last 5-10 years.
You're not going to? You're not going to?
No,
Okay.
not at
Okay,
all.
good.
Not at all. I'm not going to state that it was fucking trash and it should be killed with fire. I'm not going to say
Glad
that.
we clarified that. Glad we did not clarify
Just
that.
wanted to make sure.
I'm glad you don't feel the need to say that you're not even ranking it as an MCU film.
It doesn't even count. It doesn't even count. It's not even in top a million movies that I've seen. Like, That's how bad
What,
it is.
where does it rank if you put it in Disney properties that are live action remakes? In that order, where does it rank?
Oh, that's a question. Damn.
That's a question.
Damn.
It's like
Damn, bro. You got me with that. You got me with that one. I'm not gonna lie.
it's like, if, in your opinion, movies that don't need to be made against a movie that shouldn't have been made.
Yeah. But no, in all seriousness, I agree with you, Umar, and I think honestly, Thor peaked in Endgame, Infinity War, and Endgame. Ragnarok, yeah, sorry, Ragnarok was before Endgame. So yeah, he definitely peaked, and then Ragnarok was cool. I like what they did with Ragnarok and the comedic element and whatnot. I was vibing with it because I understand that like Chris Hemsworth, he wanted it. That was kind of similar to the change that he wanted, and I thought they did a good job. I liked the humor. It wasn't too over the top. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with Ragnarok. Then they do Infinity War, and you see the emotion, you see the turmoil that and like he's showcasing the loss that he's had to undergo throughout the duration of all of
One
these
scene.
films. In one scene, it gets you, man, and you're just like, wow, okay, yeah, this is an element of Thor we haven't seen yet, and I really enjoyed that. And then he had the badass moment at the in Wakanda when he's taking out all the minions or whatever. That was sick. And then you get the end game, and we see Fat Thor, and it goes back to the comedy element, and that was cool. That was fun. I enjoyed that, and he had some badass moments near the end with the fight scene between him and Thanos. And then they fucking just ruin it with Thor: Love and Thunder. But I'm not gonna get into that again. But I agree. I don't want him to go out like that. Like Thor, like he needs to give us at least one more hurrah before. Like you can't just leave on Thor: Love and Thunder. Like I feel like almost every other Avengers, like OG Avengers, had their end moment. Like,
Yeah.
Iron Man came full circle and then he sacrificed himself, and that was a proper send off. Captain America got his send off by like, doing it. He got to wield Thor's hammer and all that shit like that, and then he got to return home and like be with his boo and shit. We got a Black Widow movie, which it was cool. Long overdue, but she got her time to shine. We had
Long
Hawkeye
overdue.
with his show, so that was kind of his little moment. Hulk, they fucking nerfed. They need to fix him 100%. And Thor, like I feel like Thor deserves his moment again. Like he needs to end on a high note. But to switch gears to going back to his issue of him potentially
Wanting a
or being
drastic change.
susceptible no, being susceptible
Oh,
to
yeah,
Alzheimer's,
yeah.
right? Like, I I share that sentiment too because my grandmother has that right now, and she's just not she's not there. So I understand the fear because even my dad right now, like considering that it runs in the family, he's kind of going through like he's got that fear because he's like, oh man, I don't want that to happen because he's seeing his mom like wither away and her mind just deteriorate, right? So it's very scary, and like I can understand Chris Hemsworth wanted to take time to be with his family because he even said there was a statement that was really touching where he was like, the thought of me not like someday not being able to remember my wife and my kids is terrifying to me. So if I can if I can prevent this from happening or focus on my health in a way that kind of like points me in a different direction away from this condition, then I'm going to do whatever I can, and I have to prioritize my health, and I think
Have,
that's a smart thing to do.
have you seen his show?
I haven't. I didn't even know about it until this whole Alzheimer's thing came up. So now I want
I've
to kind
seen
of go back and watch it.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of episodes. I basically saw the episode where he finds out, and I saw the episode at the last episode, and I would say that it reminded me of you a lot. And I think it's something that you and your girl would actually enjoy watching together.
Mm. Yeah, I think we're gonna check it out. It seems really cool. I really enjoy shows like that, like
Yeah.
death defying stunts and things that deal with like longevity and health and whatnot. Obviously,
Oh yeah,
considering
then you're
the
gonna
work
love
that I
this.
do. So yeah, but yeah, just to sum up everything, I think in terms of his health, I think it's a smart decision on his part to take some time. I know he stated that he's not retiring. It's just he's taking a little bit of time to kind of figure things out, which is the right thing to do, 100%. And in terms of the whole Thor change, I would like to see him come back and do Thor right, and especially in the way that he wants to do it. And just touching up off, we just spoke about Mahershala Ali and his kind of vision and him trying to kind of you know bring Blade in the right direction that he foresees. I want Chris Hemsworth to have that same kind of passion and the same kind of power and authority to direct, not literally direct, but like kind of govern the direction of Thor and where he wants to take it.
Yeah. How about you, Darcy? What are your thoughts on Chris Hemsworth's comment and also what he was saying?
I mean, the Alzheimer part of the thing, I mean, that's scary. And I mean, listening to Tactix talk about his perspective, makes that more real. And I mean, what can you say to that other than that just makes sense what he wants to do? And the other thing that I wonder if he will, be far more like what was the Netflix show he did with the stunt? It was like all stunt focused. It was like in India.
Extraction.
Extraction, and he's already filmed in a second one, right? So like that one's coming out.
I think that's done. Yeah, I think that's
yeah. I get a feeling after something like that like after getting that news, like, we were not going to see a third from that franchise with him in it, because taking on the chances of either that or like he'll do certain things, but he ain't touching nothing that brings the any type of stunt work that has a chance of furthering his problems. I think he's going to step away from that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, unless like he feels differently or whatnot, or there's things we don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if he steps away from certain types of stunt work. And I mean, I just want the best for him. Now I definitely want to go watch Limitless. I'm literally just adding it to my watch list on Disney Plus, and have to clean that up now as I'm seeing this bunch of stuff I watched. But I'm just hoping for the best. And I definitely want to see a different, and I don't feel like we need more than one more Thor movie at this point.
No.
The only thing that I think that we could ask for outside of another movie, if he so decides to do one, is whatever place he has to play in, Secret Wars, like just a cameo type thing.
Yeah.
But for a whole movie, like personally, I don't know, are we talking about what we want to see? I forgot if you asked.
No. So we can transition to that actually. So like and I'll start with you, Darcy. So like the question I kind of came up with while I was doing research for this topic was, we're talking about tones, and also we talked about how certain things worked, certain things didn't work. The Thor franchise, like just in and of itself, has been like kind of like all over the place in terms of like what it's trying to say. It hasn't found its foot in many ways because like people like the first one, but also most people didn't. People like the third one, but then also other people didn't. I think everyone agrees that no one liked 2 and 4, or like 4 definitely is the most recent example. So my question is, for the two of you, what tone would you want the 5th Thor movie to be? So Darcy, let's start with you. Like what would you want the tone of the 5th Thor to be about?
I kind of want, and this is going to sound a little bit weird at first, but I want it to be a full circle into him realizing something of the place that his father was in at the beginning. And what I mean by that is like becoming a wise Thor and leaving his legacy behind, whether that means his character would pass on or just go into some kind of non like logically he has to come out of the MCU, which means logically something has to happen that he can't really be called upon, or calling upon him is like, last ditch effort type thing, because he's not easy to get your hands on, kind of a thing. Because otherwise, if he's at the ready and available all the time, then you'd be like, why didn't they just call in Thor? Like, and you have to remove that question, right? But I would love for him to move into a state of just more wisdom, more realization, more stepping back, and that having an impact on other characters, like maybe a little bit of sprinkling of that in the film, and then afterwards, later on, when you see other things show up in other places, just the reckoning of, or not reckoning, the recognition that, like, you can't call Thor for a big moment that you would need Thor in, and it's like impactful to other superheroes and their growth. I mean, not that he's attached to many other superheroes in the MCU right now, the new ones coming in, but
So you're
just
saying you want more of a dramatic Thor film?
I do want a more of a dramatic Thor film, but not. I don't know if I want it to be entirely like dark, right? Like what happened going from end of Ragnarok into Infinity War, but I feel like the last thing I would want Chris Hemsworth to do with this is to give me something from the soul, because the character's been around forever, right? He's so old, literally,
Yeah.
and that he has so much experience and chance for wisdom, that I feel like all of it should come to fruition in his story, that he feels something of like the depth of everything, and I would want that to translate into the audience and have some meaning. So it's not a jokey film. It's not like, oh, it's a dark film and whatever. I feel like I just want, after everything we've seen this guy go through, some deep depth of meaning that hits the soul and makes you kind of feel a little like what Pixar gives you at times, in a kind of a way, right? Like a message at the end of it, because he's the character who has the most experience of life of everybody else. So I feel like that in and of itself is something that you need to finalize with. I don't know, just where I sit with it.
Cool. T.
Excuse me. I'm probably the wrong person to ask, because I don't really know, outside of the MCU, I don't really know much about the character.
But
But
this
I
isn't so much
feel
about like what the character is. I'm asking like you personally.
no, no,
What
no.
would you like
Yeah,
to
yeah.
see?
No, I know, I know. Because I'm just saying, like, because if you ask me, like, how I want, like, Batman to be, like, I have some backstory in terms of, like, how I would want that Batman to be portrayed. But to answer the question to the best of my ability, um, honestly, and like, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't feel like up until, like, Thor: Love and Thunder, which was like the last we saw of Thor. I don't think he's gotten his flowers, in the sense of, I don't think he's gotten the respect that he deserves. I mean, he's a god, and like Darcy said, like, he's been around for thousands of years, and I feel like he's not as revered as, you know he's depicted in these movies, in the sense of, like, people don't seem to really like they know him, but they're kind of just like, that's just Thor. Like, he's not this godly figure. Like, I mean,
He's
he
a
saved the
himbo.
world, and yeah, it's just kind of like, he's just there, right? So I kind of feel on the same token as Darcy, where I feel like there has to be some kind of send off with a powerful message. It doesn't necessarily have to be dark, but I feel like the movie needs to reflect Thor's, coming full circle. Like, he's in the first one, he came off as this cocky, like, arrogant, like, god, almost, but then he got humbled when he lost his powers, and then he went through all his trials and tribulations due to the loss of, like, pretty much everyone in his life, and then
Yeah.
had to overcome that. He suffered from grief. He suffered from the disappointment of the whole like, not being able to kill Thanos, and whatnot. And so I feel like, like, we still haven't hit that moment where Thor has been, like, idolized and given his flowers for the hurdles that he's overcome, and where he is now in terms of, like, sitting on top of, like, his, you know metaphorical throne in a sense, right? So I feel like for the next Thor, I do want like more like epic battles. I guess I foresee it kind of like an amalgamation of some of the like what worked in the past and then leave out everything else. So like there are elements of the first one that seem to fit the lore of Thor in the sense of like I know you like the whole Shakespearean feel of the first one. So, go back to that a little bit. You don't have to overdo it, but add some of that back in and then, maintain some of the comedy, but dumb it the fuck down. Don't overdo it. And then give us more like epic fight sequences like in Infinity War and in Endgame, right? Like give us like a sprinkle of a little bit more of like what worked. Go back and revisit some of the elements that worked and then trim the fat off of what didn't work and then just give us a movie based off of that, in my opinion. I think that's what they need to do.
So I'm going to give my, well, this is going to be unfortunately a bit more comic based, but I'm in the same vein as the both of you. Like Tactix, I think you said it quite well. For me, the only way I'm going to add on to this discussion is to give an actual comic book reference in regards to what you were saying. Like Darcy, you're right. Like the dramatic element definitely needs to happen. And T, you're talking about like trimming down the jokes, bringing in the badassery. Yes, he is a god. And also like Darcy, you're saying let there be like a full circle situation. Let's like have him come to realization about who he is. And the best example I can think of for us to like kind of end everything off has to do with one of my favorite runs on Thor, which was by J. Michael Straczynski, where Thor, like this, I think this was like early 2000s, like around the time when Iron Man first came out in as a movie. So this is an older run, but in that story, Thor comes back to life because he was thought to be dead, and like Iron Man used his DNA to clone a Thor that took Mjolnir and actually killed someone during Civil War. And anyway, so like Thor comes back to life. He comes to Earth, and he basically has Asgard hovering over a town in like Middle America. And Tony Stark shows up and is like, yo, you can't do this. The UN is like, sorry, the United States is like, yo, get this thing out of here. And he's like, no. And they're like, no, you got to do this. Like, I'm the god of thunder. That's my home. None of you will touch it, and it is staying. And they're all like, yo, Thor, like, you can't do this. And like they sent an Iron Man to like deal with him, and like he fucks up Iron Man. Now I'm not saying like that can happen, but like that's what I want to see. And it kind of goes to what you guys are saying. Let the God of Thunder to return. Let him come. Like what you could do is like something like the UN is like causing havoc with like like a new Asgard, and it's like giving the Asgardians a tough time and like all this sort of shit. And Thor just comes back, kind of like coming to the realization like that you're talking about, Darcy. Shows up and becomes the God of Thunder, and is like, okay, well, a lot of the other gods are dead, but the Asgardians are still here, so I'm going to be both king and god to my people. And New Asgard is now going to be like Asgard for me. And he basically shuts down everybody. And I'm not saying it needs to become like a political thriller, but like have it become a dramatic situation where there are jokes here and there. Like even when like Iron Man got his ass kicked, like there was a joke here and there, but then it got like serious when I think I remember like when like he like Iron Man's like limping away, and like Thor's just like, by the way, Tony, right now I've got stuff to do, but I haven't forgotten that you cloned me and used that clone to kill somebody. We're gonna talk later. And Tony's just like, so. And it was funny because like when Tony like starts the fight, Thor just hits him with the hammer, and Tony's just like, okay, we've fought before. That never hurt as much as it did. He's like, yeah, you were my friend before.
Damn.
Yeah, so like do that. do that for the final film, and I'll be very happy. But anyway, so look, that's the tone that I want. And people like I'm not saying adapt the J. Michael Straczynski one, but it wouldn't hurt to go back to basics a little bit.
Mm.
I'm not saying it needs to be Shakespearean, but again, guys, Thor, like in the comics, is a beloved character not just because he's got big muscles. There's some like Love and Thunder. Like I enjoyed watching it as a humor-based thing, but like don't like it butchered two of my most favorite Thor storylines, and that's why I'm not gonna ever forgive it. But like, let's just get out of like doing Thor a different way and just go back to basics and do things a little bit better. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what you make me think of in this is that we need to bring in like whatever this final thing is. I almost feel like we need somebody who's worked on like Vikings or something like the show, like just somebody who understands a little bit more of the actual Viking culture, bring Viking culture in a way, because that could really ground it, right? You have the whole superhero element, but he's a Viking god, like the Viking god, and so having something in the realm of that would be having a tone of that would be interesting.
Yeah, 100%. So Attila's like, what if they did a storyline with Thor where he takes on those who sit above in the shadows? Interesting. And Courtney says, less humor, no Taika, which Tactix is like music to your ears. He had a great thing going doing smaller films. The death of his type of talent is being so famous that no one is allowed to tell you to rein in your jokes anymore. Yep, I definitely agree. And Courtney also says, I agree. Thor needs to be badass. He doesn't feel as powerful and godly as he should. He's just a silly goose in these films. No, like arguments on that one, Courtney. And Attila says, I feel they are walking a fine line. He is a religious character after all. He does come full circle for those that are followers of that religion. He is a center point of cataclysm. Ooh. Oh, Courtney's like making Thor like Beowulf. Would be sick. That, you know what? Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
that's an underrated film, man.
Beowulf? I don't know this
Beowulf.
film.
Yeah.
Oh,
you haven't seen Beowulf?
No.
Oh, it's pretty dope.
Yeah, I watched it ages ago, but like, Darcy, I would say like look it up and give it a try. I think that would be something that at least would inspire you for what you want in terms of tone for Thor. So, all right. So on this note, I'm gonna move on to our next topic, which, trigger warning, people. My blood pressure is about to rise. So, Hollywood Reporter decided to do something fun and rank all 70 Marvel, like basically characters that are from the Marvel universe. And there are apparently 70 movies since this all started. 3 reporter movie critics got together and ranked all 70 Marvel-inspired films from worst to best.
Umar, were their names the Three Stooges? Just curiosity.
Their names were go fuck yourself. That's what their names were. So I will say that this would be difficult for me. It would probably take me an entire day just to like properly think about this. But nonetheless.
Like in that day, with the results you come up with, you and I would be arguing for a good period of time.
Yes,
that.
This was a tall order, and people would have opinions. However, there are certain films that are considered universally to be like better than others. I would say. We have, the three of us, discussed how Endgame, for one, is at least top tier.
Mm-hmm.
Endgame was listed 36.
Bruh.
Do you want to know what was ranked 32?
Go for it.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Negro, please.
Yes. Like, what's the first film they watch in the MCU? Endgame, and they're like, "This sucks," like because it's like out of context.
I can't even. But like, Infinity War is 31.
That's crazy.
The Wolverine and Iron Man 2 are higher on the list. They're in the like the low, like the 28 and 29.
Bruh.
Where's the one where we had the first Deadpool with Ryan Reynolds? Like the one that even he hates?
Okay, yeah. Hold up, let me find that one. Oh, I actually don't want to now, but like
don't tell me it was like higher than Endgame or something like that. Like,
No, I think that one was at the bottom. Yeah, bottom
yeah,
of
it
the
was
list.
54.
well, at least I got one thing right.
No, like the bottom of the list is okay, but then when you start getting higher into the ranking, you're like, whoa.
Basically, once you get to the 40s is when shit starts hitting the fan. Like Blade 2 was 38, and then Eternals. Okay, I enjoyed Eternals, but like Avengers Endgame was 36. Eternals was 34.
Gosh damn.
Like, was this shit just alphabetical after like 40? They just gave up. They just said they went to Excel and just hit sort. Like, like they're just like, 70. That's too much work, man. It's calling it a day. Let's go get some Starbucks.
I'm not kidding you. It does feel that way. Like No Way Home was 24 on the list.
Clearly,
you know what was above it? Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness.
Okay, I like Multiverse of Madness, but I don't agree with that.
Deadpool was 21.
The first one?
Yeah. Deadpool 2 was 20.
Wow.
I mean,
how is Captain Marvel 7? That is the biggest
Captain
conundrum
America
ever.
Captain America First Avenger, the first one, was 18. That they put that above Infinity War and Endgame, and are like, no, that's a better film. I'm like,
so okay, so you can make the argument. It's a shitty argument, but you can make the argument and state that like movies like Endgame and Infinity War wouldn't do as well if they didn't have the previous films to build up to it.
Okay,
facts,
okay.
facts,
On that
facts.
point, on that point,
yeah, I still don't agree with it.
Avengers: Age of Ultron, which kind of is what you're saying, building upon like things that was done before. That's 16 on the list.
What the God?
What?
No!
Wait, what? Okay, wait, hold on. What was Endgame and what was Endgame?
36.
And
Age of Ultron was 16.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Everyone's literal worst Avengers film
Yes.
is 20 positions higher than everyone's favorite Avengers film.
Wow.
So T, I can get behind that, but then Age of Ultron needs to be much lower on the list.
Wow, that
Okay.
makes my dick itch.
Okay.
Wow, that's crazy.
So Umar, I'm gonna come in here and say something controversial. Not like that's news in the realm of our conversation right now, but like I could take the argument that Winter Soldier is arguably, potentially, a better film on its own than Infinity War and Endgame, right?
Because
it is.
Those are events.
Yeah,
That's film.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a solid film like we still reference. You literally sent me a link today, Umar, with a reference from that film of like before we start this, anybody want to get out? Like we still reference
Bro, that
scene.
shit had me dying, yo. Is that the same one that you sent to me over Instagram? Umar, is that the same clip?
Yeah.
Hilarious, yo. I legit laughed out loud during my test, bro.
Oh.
So okay, I need to go further.
Yeah. Go on.
So so 13 Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I'm like, that should have been number 1. I don't know what you smoking, but at least it's some like, oh no, it should be in the top anyway. So 13 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Number 12 is Logan. Number 11 is Ant-Man.
Wait, what?
Ant-Man
Oh my
is
God.
number 11 on this
Where's
list.
Spider-Man 2 on this list? Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man 2. Because that movie is great.
Okay, that's number 2.
Okay.
It's number 2.
It's number
Okay.
2. Number 3 is Black Panther.
Number 3 is Black Panther. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
agreed. But okay, so this is where like you got number 2 and you got number 3 and stuff that I can deal with. But Captain Marvel is number 7.
Yeah,
It made
I
the
do not
top
agree with this
10.
at all. No.
And number 6 is Spider-Man, like the first Spider-Man. T, you and I rewatched that movie recently. That movie
Wait, Tobey Maguire? Tobey Maguire's?
Tobey Maguire, number 1 Spider-Man, is number fucking 6.
No way.
There is a point. No.
I mean, it gets nostalgia points, but yeah, rewatchability is that's a strong
number
no for me.
5 is Winter Soldier.
Okay.
So again,
I agree with Darcy. It's like that wasn't a bit like Winter Soldier is a solid film on its own.
Yeah. Iron Man 1 is number 4.
Okay, I rate that.
Yeah. So then it was Black Panther, and then it was Spider-Man 2. And do you know what the number 1 is?
I'm
The
worried.
first Avengers film.
I mean,
It
wins a lot on nostalgia at this point. But
yeah. I mean, if they're going off of nostalgia, then yeah, it's definitely not my number 1, but I can understand that.
Like, it was a long time before anything beat the first Avengers film in the MCU after it came out, right?
Yes.
And then the Russo brothers stopped by. Like, but
anything the Russo brothers did beat out that first one. Like, who are like? Oh my god! How did this get? Who published this shit? Aside from Hollywood Reporter, I'm like, what? Who was the editor for this article?
You know what this is? You know what this is? Okay, so they're like, let's make a list, right? And then they put together a nice list, and they're like, yeah, but people have these things. No one's really gonna read it. Like, they're gonna read a little bit, but not gonna read a lot. But if we took this list and then we hit a random generator button and then we put this on the internet, people be talking about it because it's messed up. It doesn't make any sense.
I definitely lost my shit. So like, you ain't wrong. Like, Hollywood Reporter probably got more clicks on this thing and people buying their newspaper just like for shit like this list is fucked up.
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah,
that's disappointing.
The interns could have done a better job.
Anyway, so like, my blood pressure is like, I'm probably gonna get heart palpitations in like 2 seconds, and like probably create an entire like string of this beat Endgame. This beat Endgame.
How? Make it make sense.
Like, you didn't even.
How?
Oh man, I feel like we found. There's 3 of us and there's 3 of them. I feel like we found our villains.
Yeah, I will like. I don't care if all 3 of them are women. Like, the 3 of us take on those 3, and like, they gonna get hurt.
I mean, I'm with you, except for how you phrase that.
We'll just say really mean things about their mothers. They will get hurt. Courtney says, "Hell, I'm going to start writing articles like this just for the joy of Umar's reactions."
Oh man.
You know what? That's
Oh,
fair. That's fair. That's fair.
oh man.
All right, moving on. Some bullshit. So, all right.
Like, favorite,
So,
and subscribe.
so, Variety did a piece on basically this geeky a news outlet that focuses on fan bases and all that stuff called fandom. They conducted a research. They probably like polled all their like users, like got their gamers involved, all that sort of stuff, and they apparently gained a lot of information regarding fans of the superhero world, specifically about DC, DC films, and Marvel films. And they did a fascinating comparison where they learned quite a bit of stuff. So I'm just going to read off some things that Variety had noted about what the study found. And this kind of ties back to what Tactix was saying earlier on, where it says over 1/3 of Marvel fans are starting to feel fatigue from the constant stream of content that keeps coming out, like on Disney Plus or in movie theaters. Hell, probably like trailers even. And that Marvel fans are also more inclined to watch any so it's not just those the 1/3 that's getting the fatigue, but like Marvel fans like overall are kind of the ones that will watch anything Marvel. Like anything Marvel comes out, they're going to watch it, which is counter to DC. DC fans, they're probably like starving, so they're just like they'll just watch. They'll probably like watch. No, sorry. DC fans, they will watch only one property or one project of DC. So like they'll only stick to Batman, for example, or they'll only stick to Superman, sort of thing. Like they're not going to be finding all the elements and like going into that. But another thing that came out in the study that was fascinating is they started to categorize fandom. So before it was always like you're a fan or you're a super fan. Turns out it's 4 categories of fans, and they are the advocates, which are like I would be an advocate. They're like the hardcore fan base that are deeply invested and like will watch movies or shows like the day of or like within like 2 or 3 days of whenever the property is released. And they also would abandon their bros to watch them to do that.
Yeah, that's
So anyway,
definitely you.
Yeah, it also says
Called
things
out.
like it also
I cut
says
myself out.
yeah. Also, Harry Potter fans are amongst this group. Definitely,
Yeah, and
definitely
also
you.
I think Star Wars as well. Like Star Wars and Harry Potter.
Isn't Courtney a Harry Potter fan?
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
snap! Okay,
Advocate.
called out too.
Why are you only showing me? Like, why don't we can have the 3 of us for this
Because you're
conversation?
still reading, aren't you?
Okay, but I want to read I want to see your expressions on. Oh yes, actually that is true. Courtney is more Lord of the Rings fan, as I am. Her and I are both Lord of the Rings over Harry Potter. But anyway, so the advocates are like the hardcore fan base where I'm at. The second tier is called intentionalists, and these are the fans that are possibly the most. These are the fans that, like, I would say the most amount of people fit under, and they're the ones that they're more discerning, but they're also influenced by marketing and reviews. So like they're the ones who are like, that looks interesting, but I'm gonna wait for reviews. I'm like, oh, new trailer, I want to watch that and go see it. Like they're kind of like that sort of thing. So they kind of they will support the advocates, but they also won't go like they probably wait until the weekend and not on Thursdays
Called out.
He gave us like stink eye. He's like
Bro.
talking about general group, and we got stink eye for it. Like,
This
damn.
man came so hard for us, yo. Like, what the?
Yeah, like Umar, how you gonna read when you all cockeyed like that at us? Like,
Oh,
Facts. All right. So then the third group is the culturalists. Culturists. They're influenced by the buzz. Like, they hear about something, everyone's talking about it, they're going to check it out. But it kind of leaves there. Like they want to watch it just so they can be part of like the conversation. Like, they watch the movie because everyone's talking about the movie, so they can talk about the movie. So that's the culturists. And then the final type is the flirt. They kind of like dabble in. They'll watch a couple. They know a few things, but and I'm going to throw some shade over here, and I'm going to say this on air. They're like certain people who are commenting that Tactix doesn't do anything on the show, and also think that the Joker is part of the Justice League.
Oh no! Say her name, Nagar. Say her name, even though she's not here. Make it be known.
Sorry. Joker is part of the Justice League. Why? Because there's a J in his name.
Yeah.
Yo, you need to send this person that video of like who's in the Justice League.
I did.
Good.
Her response was, "I thought I would have said the Joker."
That's okay. God.
She says, "I'm useless."
I can't even right now.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So this nonetheless, I found this to be a rather fascinating study. But also, sorry. So okay, now I'm going to read some stats. So there are more advocates and intentionalists in the fandom, as Marvel is around like 66%, but DC is 60%. So like clearly Marvel's got like fanatical fans, while DC's got like semi-fanatical fans. But also, according to the study, 81% of Marvel fans, so 81% would watch anything released by the franchise, while 67% of DC fans would do the same. So like, DC fans, like, to be fair, it's the content also isn't great. So like maybe that's the reason why they don't want to watch everything.
You think?
Yeah. But also conversely, 38% of Marvel fans say they're focused on specific heroes rather than than the entire MCU. But 57% of DC fans are going to just focus on one character. So 20% of DC fans say that they're tired with the property or like superheroes in general, and 36% of Marvel fans are like they're like Tactix right now. They need some horror movies in their lives. So yeah, I found this to be rather fascinating. Facts. And to be honest, when DC brings it, they do go for knockouts. Like the Batman was solid. Basically anything Batman was solid, and also like in the olden days, the Batman and the Superman were pretty solid until they both went past the second movies.
Don't say anything. BVS happened, and then Justice League happened after that. I mean, mostly Justice League though, because BVS had
and then Black Adam.
BVS had some no, but you said Batman. BVS had some knockout moments and some dumbass moments as well. But Justice League had a lot of dumbass moments.
Agree to disagree on that one.
You don't like the warehouse fight scene, bro? That was my knockout pun.
Okay, yeah. So that was a knockout fight scene. Like the rest of the movie like pissed me off. Anyway, so like nonetheless, so Darcy, what do you have to say about these new categories and also about like the fatigue and also like the hardcore focus on overall versus minor? So let's start with you, man. What do you think?
So definitely, I agree. The fatigue is real, but speaking from my own personal experience, I feel like at this given time, I'm more so just waiting for DC to make some solid films, like to get into the conversation and start hitting us with some strong wins, because they haven't been doing that at all.
Black Adam.
Black Adam was just, like I said, like I continue to say, it's just dumb fun, but it's not a rewatchable film. Like I'm not eager to go see that again ever in my life. So for me, I just want. I mean, yes, they have the Batman, which was good, but again, that movie was very divisive in the sense that a lot of people. I've heard a lot. I've heard at least 5 people say that movie was boring as hell, and
I've heard that too. It is long.
honestly,
It is longer than it needed to be.
the thing is, I can't even argue it. I love it simply because it's a Batman property, and on top of that, they got more into the detective story, which we haven't really seen in a Batman film. So I was glad that they introduced that. Could have used a little bit more action, but I enjoyed the film. I really enjoyed the film. You'd be hard pressed to find someone who said something negative about The Dark Knight. So that's not that film is not a divisive film at all. So I want DC to kind of hit us with more content similar to that of The Dark Knight, and I'm hoping, even though there is a little bit of fatigue on my end, I still want to see some solid DC properties, like because the thing that boggles my mind is that Justice League is a more well-known property than that of the Avengers, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And
you're absolutely right. You're
and
absolutely right.
and it failed. It fit, like nobody went to see it, and those who saw it didn't enjoy it, for rightfully so. I understand, but that should have been a box office draw, and it just wasn't. It didn't deliver. Like up until the whole MCU, no one gave a fuck about Iron Man. I didn't even know. I knew of Iron Man, but I'm like,
He's
okay,
a
well, he's not a
B-level
top
character.
tier. Yeah, no one knew really about Thor. I knew of Thor from like it's like an old school movie
Hercules?
with Elizabeth Shue. No, the babysitter, Adventures of Babysitting or something like that. That's how I know of Thor. Like, and I don't even know if it's the same, if there's any relation or
It
whatever.
is.
But you know what I'm talking. Okay, so yes, you feel what I'm talking about. Yeah, so my point is, like, nobody knew about these characters until like the MCU became a thing, and then they started introducing the Avengers Initiative, and then it grew into what it is now. Justice League shouldn't have needed to do that. They should have just already like came in the game, like, which they did, but it just didn't deliver on the same merits, and it's a shame because the Justice League should have been a powerhouse.
Do you know who played Thor in that movie?
I don't remember. It was so long ago since I've seen that movie.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
No way. Are you serious? Okay, I gotta Google that after my point. But yeah, in terms of like the stats and everything, I would say I'm in between, but more so leaning to obviously the second one, because I'm not the type of person that, like, I mean, I just don't have the schedule for it to like rush out on a Thursday night to go see these movies when they come out, right? So my bad, Umar. But yeah, I would say I'm kind of like in between, because I love. I'll still watch, even if it's a superhero film. I'll still watch. I think out of us three, I'm the only one who watched. What was the Marvel movie that was like supposed to be like a horror type of the New Mutants?
Morbius?
No, the New Mutants.
Oh, New Mutants. You
Yeah.
saw that?
I actually watched it because I was curious. Did
I
y'all
saw it
watch
too.
it?
I
Okay,
didn't
so
watch
Darcy
that.
watched. Okay. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
I mean, I torrented it. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't
yeah,
rushing
no,
out of my
same.
way to
So,
see
no.
it.
I didn't see that shit in the theater. But
oh yeah.
you know,
That was like I ain't got shit to do.
yeah. But I'm the type where I'll check reviews. I'll be like, okay, what are people talking about with this film? And if it's shit, I'll be like, okay, like I already gotta have like my schedule free before I check this out. And if it is, then I'll watch it. I got nothing else to do. So yeah, I'm that type where I'll like, it's a superhero film, sure. Even though I have a little bit of fatigue, I'll still check it out because I want to feed into that curiosity. Terrible film, but yeah, I still watched it. So I guess I'm
Some
kind of in between.
Yeah. Darcy?
I mean, the New Mutants had some nice CGI, but dabby about it.
Yeah.
Like, and what's her name? She's awesome and everything she
Anya.
does. Yeah. Like,
Mm.
like horrible everything, but I mean, I liked every moment she did what she was
Casted
doing.
it well. Like for the characters, they actually casted it well.
Oh yeah, I feel like that movie was also mostly let down by its editing. I think it was
Mm.
I think this to me is like Passengers, where it's the story was written a way, actors acted it that way, and then they edited it a different way, and then when you reorganize it, it changes the tone dramatically and makes certain things not make sense because they're not acting the way that you're making it look like they're acting. So it's like it feels shady. But going back to the main topic here. So I'm gonna also identify myself and what group I'm in. I feel like I'm in the Venn diagram of between advocates and intentionalists, mostly on the
I would
intentionalist
agree.
side, but slightly on the advocate side in that I'm not hardcore, but I'm not as easily influenced by the marketing in that I'm more than likely going to watch everything in Marvels to stay unless it's like, you know, Morbius. Then I'm
Yeah,
just like then I'm out. Like I'm not hurting myself like that.
because like just because I would say that you both have said repeatedly, I need to see the trailer, but that's not. I need to see the trailer to watch the film. It's like I need to see the trailer to get excited for the film.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch
Mm.
the trailers in general, like depending on the property. I'll be like, I don't even need to see Wakanda Forever trailer. I knew I was gonna go watch it, like, but more than anything, it's like if it's Sony making it, I definitely need to see the trailer to I'm like it's like is this worth my time to even get it for free? Like that's when I'm qualified. But it's more like I want to see everything so I'm aware. Whereas the like intentionalist to culturist, like in that Venn diagram, in between those two states would be like where my partner sits, right? Where she isn't gonna watch everything, but she will watch a lot of things on her own volition. Like one trailer, oh that movie's, oh I love that character, oh I love the last movie, let's do it, right? Like doesn't really need a whole lot, but with other things that not as into, needs more persuasion. Now. Nice. Oh, but
The dude in the back who kills me.
It's facts. That's facts.
Yeah. Sorry, Darcy.
He's just mad because he's like, man, either he was about to do it. Nah, he's wearing shorts and t-shirt. He wasn't no, that man just laying on the pressure. That's all. He's out here. Anyways, that makes me think of a joke from something in my personal life. But anyways, I'm gonna move on. But the thing that I feel like what's happening here, the fatigue I think is prolonged by Marvel's success and DC's failures. And what I mean by that is, Popeyes has been a number one staple, like in the Toronto area. There's Popeyes, and there's like that one other one that we always forget about. But Chick-fil-A came in, that spices everything up right now. Everyone's rushing to Chick-fil-A, and it's the whole point that they're all fried chicken. Oh, KFC was the other one. See how right, like they're all fried chicken, but you need variety, like I love burgers. I'm a burger guy. I love Five Guys, but I need something to change it up, and we need DC to get on their game. One, yes, because that'd be exciting, but two, it also invigorate and make one, even if Marvel doesn't improve, but they will. If DC does something good, Marvel's gonna be like, oh, why aren't we bringing more this or that into our stuff? We can be more courageous. People love that, right?
When they did when DC did Wonder Woman and like stuck the landing on that one, Marvel was like, okay, Captain Marvel, Black Widow, all these TV series is like, okay, but like that just goes towards your point.
Yeah, I mean, like that's one part of it, but the other part of it is that it's the palate cleansing part of it, where it's like we're so used to eating the same thing over and over again, a steak every night. Just having something different will make the steak taste better, right? And so, even if Marvel doesn't improve in certain ways and stays the same, it'll be, I need me a Marvel film. I have a couple good DC films, a little of the darker side, a little this, like a little whatever. I need a little something different, right? And so that'll balance things out. Overall, though, that still does mean that we could get to a point where it's like there's even now too much superhero stuff happening all the time. So it's hard to say, but yeah, I mean, I feel like we're taxing a lot or much earlier about like watching the horror films. Not that I'm watching horror films, but I have started to feel like it's been a long time since I just watched like a good film that isn't superhero, and I don't really like notice them. And I probably because it's like if I have a budget in my mind, not a financial one, but like a budget in my mind of how many movies I'm probably gonna go out and watch this year, like in general, and watch at home. I know there's so many superhero films that it's kind of taken up my budget, and I don't have a lot of room left, so I don't pay attention to movies until until something like what is it? What Woman King? What is this? Hold up, let me take a look at this, and then I go see it. Right?
Yeah.
It pushes the bar so high, not because superhero films are always so good, but that I have so little room left for new movies that if you're gonna have to make a real loud statement for me to notice. And yeah, the fatigue is real, and it's probably gonna get worse and better at the same time. So
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything to add. You guys both kind of like said it.
I was just to add to that point. I 100% agree with Darcy, and I feel like with a lot of these superhero films, they've made me a lazy viewer in a sense. And what I mean by that is like, for example, like Umar, when you gave me a list of like the top whatever mindfuck movies or whatever, like those are movies you actually have to pay attention to and like
Yeah.
really invest like your energy into trying to figure out like what's going on, what the twist is, really get engulfed in the story. Whereas with some of these superhero films, not to say that they lack substance or they lack depth, but for the most part, they're it's a lot of it is mindless action and like a lot of fun with like a good narrative. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to downplay these superhero films, but I I also miss the element of like the Matrix or like movies like Inception or Interstellar, where like it really has you like thinking and like questioning life, and you're like, oh shit, like these things could
Oh,
actually happen, and like what does this mean? And like you're talking about it in a way that reflects or mirrors your own life and your own perspective, you know?
okay. Well, just a personal suggestion. You guys could try out watching Spotlight. It's got Michael Keaton, Rachel McAdams, and Mark Ruffalo in it. I would say at least it'll give you something, something good.
Spotlight.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for me, I would say that it's weird. I'm in no way finished Andor yet, but like because I'm watching it with a buddy of mine, and like we can only get together so often. Also, I've been sick for the last like week and a half. But the series Andor, I find it so different than what I'm used to from Star Wars. Because you can make arguments like superhero films and Star Wars films are already kind of like their own like genre. Like you have like Star Wars is like the sci-fi version of like superhero films. And watching Andor, it's like watching it's like if the Woman King was actually like a prequel to like the Black Panther.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it's just like, oh shit. It's still part of that world, but it's like real, and it's and Tactix, what you're saying about like the lazy viewer, I'm actually struggling to keep up with all the nuance and political relevance and the philosophical representation that's coming out in Andor, because like they're really just focusing on the Empire, but not in the sense of the Empire being the Empire and like Palpatine and Sith and all the stuff. It's like, no, these are like people who are enslaving and colonizing, and you're seeing the colonized slowly realize that, hey, we actually been colonized. Hey, actually, we're actually really unhappy. Hey, we should probably fight back. but being too afraid to do so. And then like certain you feel when one or two people like get in trouble with the law, quote unquote, the empire. And it's like, why would you do that? You've risked everything. And like one of those times I've been like, dude, man, seriously, you shouldn't have come back to the house. Like you endangered everyone. And then I'm like, what am I talking about? He's fighting the empire. Shut up. You did the right thing, man. But like it puts you in that mindset. You're like, hey, because like they are talking about how the empire is built on like a pyramid of fear. And I've never thought of it that way. I just thought, the Sith are in charge and they got red lightsabers and shit like that. And it's like Palpatine be like, I'm evil and it is the best thing in the world. Versus here, it's like, no, we are providing security and control, and we need to like slowly erode these like low class, like idiots who believe in like stupid religions, and like give them things that they don't even need, or actually they've outwardly said they don't want, but it's convenient for them. That way we can take their lands, destroy all their resources, and then when they have nothing left, we can kill them or use them as slave labor. And it's like, and this is a Star Wars thing. So this in turn has made me want to watch like more enriched content, which thankfully the Crown showed up, so I can watch that. I like I want to check out Yellowknife, and also a few like other things that like are not superhero based, because like I like you said, I want the palate cleanser, but I also want to think, I want to feel. And that's why I think I really enjoyed Wakanda Forever, and continue to like it more, because yeah, it gave me my superhero stuff. Yeah, it gave me some like weak narrative stuff. But hey, it gave me imagery, it gave me cinematography, and it gave me emotions and performances, and like dialogue that I loved it. So
Very layered.
yeah, like, very layered, and give me some more layered stuff, and like that's where I'm at. So yeah, that, like I agree with you guys.
Fair point.
So,
Fair point.
Yeah. So I'm gonna volley it back to you, T. We done, bro.
All right, everybody. Well, that is it for us. That'll do it for the Geeky Bros podcast. Once again, I'm your boy Tactix.
Yo, it's just Darcy here.
This is Big Geek Umar. Please like and subscribe, and live long and prosper, y'all.